4 makes mornings happen. You're watching This Week in Jacksonville with Kent Justice.
I invited Mayor Alvin Brown to join us. He wasn't available when we taped our show, but this is what he told us appearing on the morning show this past week. Jacksonville's not going to be like Stockton, California, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Brown said, we're not going to be a part of America's failures. That's why I believe we have to protect the hardworking taxpayers, really focus on living within our means, make sure we have a government that's more effective and efficient and accountable and responsible to the taxpayers. He said, I think the private sector is the engine of our community, not the government. Brown also added, by working together, we can really put Jacksonville back to work. I'm going to continue to do everything I can to fight for small business owners and entrepreneurs who are the backbone, heart, and soul of this community. So that's what the mayor told us. And then the city's chief financial officer is Ronnie Belton. We spoke with him this week. Here's his response to Sheriff Rutherford's claim about the additional $6 million in cuts his department would have to make.
He knows, again, his number better than I do, but we are open to discuss anything and everything with him.
So that's the CFO. I want to bring in Nelson Cuba here. Your perspective, the sheriff was just talking to us about with these additional $6 million in cuts, he'd have to find additional positions of police officers and personnel that he wouldn't be able to keep on staff, and that would mean more layoffs. How do you feel about this?
Well, I mean, these cuts, and it goes from the top to the bottom. I mean, by the top, he's cutting chief's position, assistant chief's position, and then, of course, that continues to roll downhill, and we're looking at 94 positions, real positions. Unlike last year, the citizens need to understand this, the council needs to understand this, and the community needs to understand this. The sheriff was able to pull 48 officers from other areas of the department to make up for those officers that were coming off the street. There are not 94 positions that the sheriff is going to be able to pull from other places in the department to put back on the street. Who does that affect? It affects the community, the safety of this community, and it affects the officers. Because now the officers are not going to have the backup they need out there. Makes it tougher to have the people you need at certain calls. So I'm concerned for the officers, I'm concerned for the community, and we need to make a way, find a way to make this work. I think the sheriff has that solution with transferring those dollars for next year, giving him that credit since he was able to come up with that savings.
You know, Sheriff Rutherford, you and I have talked about crime rates being lower in Jacksonville right now than they have been in some time.
Lowest in 40 years.
Is this a matter of maybe doing your job too well? Is that even possible for public safety? We've done it too well, and so now they say, do it that well with fewer people.
See, Kent, I'm glad you brought that up, because last year when they asked us to make these deep cuts, right, and I laid off 74, or cut 74 police positions, we are doing more with less. And look, I agree with what the mayor is saying as far as the kind of community that we want. But I think a community without public safety is not going to be the kind of community that people want to move to, want to move their business to. And all I'm asking them to do is pay this year what they paid last year. And so we want the same thing. We want a vibrant community. We care about the citizens of this community. Yes, I believe that private sector is the answer to this. But private sector is not coming here if they don't know that they're going to be safe. And that's part of this. And I want to make this point as well, because I heard Mr. Belton say earlier that you know, not in this clip, but in another one, that these are the sheriff's cuts. No. These are the mayor's cuts. These cuts belong to the mayor. These cuts in services belong to the mayor, because I've already identified how I would address it. And you know, I tell the folks that, look, at some point, you know, politicians tell people what they want to hear. A statesman tells them what they need to hear. And what people need to hear is, if we don't pay the same in revenue that we paid last year, we can't have the same service, and we're not going to create the kind of community that the mayor wants to create. And I'm hand in glove with him on that.
Right. It's a matter of how we get there. But we're running out of time. So Nelson, last word on this. Do you feel like, you heard Ronnie Belton say in that clip, hey, we're willing to talk about this. Do you feel like there's some hope for what the sheriff is proposing and still maintaining our public safety?
Well, I mean, listen, they didn't talk to the sheriff before they made the $6.1 million in cuts. So unlike the sheriff I'm not that politically correct when it comes to this. So I have no faith that they want to talk to the sheriff to fix this. So it's going to be up to the sheriff and I and our members to go out there and educate the public and get with the council to help us on this issue, because they understand what public safety means to this. If they didn't talk to them before because they didn't have enough time, then why do you think they're going to talk to them now?
Nelson Cuba, president of the FOP here in Duval County for Jacksonville. Our Jacksonville Sheriff,
Thank you,
John
Ken.
Rutherford. Thank you so much for being here. Obviously an emotional issue at times here, but something very important to talk about. So thank you, gentlemen. All right, so still focused on the budget proposal, but we're going to hear how city council members feel. Stephen Jost next on This Week in Jacksonville. Stay with us.